Hi everyone, and welcome to another Goon Squad tutorial. This tutorial is going to be done differently from our normal tutorials, as if it's going to be in two parts. There's going to be one part that's going to be the process totally streamlined, as in how to do it, and the second tutorial is going to be how to do more in-depth look at Marvelous Designer, exploring the tools and what it does and to help you get a better understanding of it. This is the first part, and it will just be showing you how to get it done so you can get a general idea of it. And so the second one is if you want to take it to the next level and explore in it a little more. I will be using Marvelous Designer 2 in this tutorial, and I have to provide a new version of it because the old one that I have in the class materials that you downloaded from the pack is apparently a bad copy, and it causes the 2D lines to explode. So I searched around and found a better copy, so check the description for the class material so you can follow along. It's also worth noting that this is going to be the last time we use Avastar 1.1. We're going to be upgrading to Avastar 1.5 and the Sparkles add-on. I don't really like upgrading because once we get a system, I like to just stick to the system and get the job done. But the tools that are in Sparkle are just amazing, and it's going to help us in the long run when it comes to other things like making hair or turning sculpty avatars into mesh ones, and stuff like that. We're totally going to need the Sparkles. So I guess in the future or so, make sure you update your class materials so that you can follow along. The stuff I use in this tutorial I'll put in the description box, so make sure you download those and so you can keep up with us. But if you still have the Avastar 1.1, you're good. And I think if you have 1.5 and or up or whatever, the techniques I use are still relevant, hopefully. And I already talked about the process of this, I think. I've done so many takes, I forgot what I said in this one. Well, the class overview for this tutorial is as follows. We are going to be showing you how to export your avatar from Second Life, import it into Blender using the Avastar plugin, exporting your avatar into OBJ, importing that OBJ into Marvelous Designer as an avatar, creating clothes in Marvelous Designer, exporting those clothes from Marvelous Designer and importing them into Blender, where we will rig it and then create what is those things called, an alpha map, and then importing all of that into Second Life. So as you see, this is going to show you how to do a lot of things. That's why it's going to be in two parts. So, I don't make an hour-long tutorial. I guess that's pretty much it for the explanation. Let's start in with the actual tutorial. For this tutorial, I'm using the Singularity viewer. I like viewer 1 style viewers over any other kind of viewers. Like I said, once I got a working system, I don't like to change it. So if you are using a viewer 2, oh, damn tablet. So if you are using a viewer 2, viewer 3, whatever, Firestorm, the buttons may be different. So I'll try to find the process and put that in the description below on how to extract it. But this is for people who use Singularity or any other kind of viewer 1 style viewer. So here you go. You're going to, I forgot we got a new tool today, so you can see what buttons I do. Alright, here we go. We're going to start by enabling the advanced menu. You do that by pressing Control, Alt, D, and it will bring up the advanced menu. From there we go Advanced, Character, Character Tests, and Appearance to XML, and then select that. For obvious reasons, I'm going to have to pause it right here, or else you'll see my name. So hang on 1 second. Alright, so when you press those buttons, you'll be prompted with this save window right here. And from there, we're going to type in a name for our shape. My tutorial shape, and then just hit enter. This error always comes up. Just ignore it. You're fine. So don't worry about it. And that's it. You have successfully exported your Second Life shape. Let's close Second Life for a second because we don't need it anymore, and go dive right into Blender. Okay, so now we have Blender open, and we are going to import our Second Life shape using the AlphaStar plugin. So we go to File, and then Import, and then Shape as AlphaStar. And we're going to pick my tutorial shape and hit Shape as AlphaStar. Something that I forgot to mention while I was in Second Life is that make sure that you aren't wearing any kinds of morphs onto your avatar, anything that will morph your shape, like shoes or hand thingies or shirts or pants. So when you go to extract your avatar, make sure that you're totally naked, wearing nothing. It'll make things a lot easier for you. Okay, so now we have our avatar imported into Blender. We're going to prepare to export it so we can export it as an object and import it into Marvelous Designer. If you want to make clothes like those kuragami, the onesie kind of things where you need to get underneath the feet here, then I recommend before we export it that you lift the character up a bit like that. That way you can sew underneath the feet without having to have the fabric bunch up underneath it. Or if your character has thighs, because I work with characters who have more thighs than I do, you would want to separate them here before we export. So go into pose mode, if you will, and press the loop, and then press R, and then move the legs apart so that you have a gap that you can sew properly on. But since I have a nice gap here, I don't need that. And I don't want to be on the floor, so let's put myself back down. Good enough. Okay, so now we're all set up and all the preparations have been made. We're going to press A and deselect everything. Then we're going to hold down the Shift key and select the parts that we want to import into Marvelous Designer. So we're going to hold Shift, click on the legs, the chest, and the head, making sure not to select the loops in this. Now we're going to export it as an OBJ. So we're going to go to File, Export, and then as a wavefront object. Before we hit OK, we're going to make sure that these boxes over here are selected. More or less the very important one, the selection only box. Make sure that that box is selected. Otherwise you'll get a skirt, or an extra head and eyes and hair, and it's just gross. So make sure these are selected. And then we're going to hit export. And that's it for Blender right now. Let's go over to Marvelous Designer, which I do not have open. Okay, let's skip that. Never update, never. Okay, so Marvelous Designer is open, and we're going to open up. There would normally be a window with characters and an avatar over here, but you know, whatever, my computer's dumb. So we're going to open up our avatar, and you may want to rush right over here to import, but no, do not do the import. Go to open and select avatar, and we're going to select, which one did I use? Marv shape. Where in the hell? Oh, down here. Marv shape. And you're prompted with this load object avatar in. And for Marvelous Designer 2, you can just delete the period, and then that's the proper percentage. But for all other Marvelous Designers, this number right here is the one that you want to import into the scale. I'll put it in the description below so you can copy and paste it in there. So once we have it in there, we're just going to press OK. And as you see, my avatar is loaded. Who happens to be floating off the ground, so I didn't put her back down, but I guess it's not a real big deal. So once you have your avatar imported, to save you all the trouble and heartache of having to do this again, you're going to go to File, Save As, and Avatar, and it's going to save as an AVT file. So I'm going to do it as floating tutorial body and hit OK. And from now on, all you have to do is just go to File, Open, Avatar, and then select the avatar, and you don't have to go to an export every time you want to. This is great for when you have repeat customers who want custom clothing. You could just make them an avatar and just open their file up without having to export their shape every single time, or have the big object files sucking up hard drive space. So now we have our avatar imported into here. Let's start making some clothing. Before then, I have to show you the fabric tools, and we can just jump right into that now. Wait, before we jump into that now, I have to explain what these windows are. These are the two windows that make up Marvelous Designer. Well, the ones that you'll be using in Second Life the most. This is the 3D window, and it will have your avatar and the 3D renderings on this side, the 3D simulations on this side. And this is the 2D window, where you will be drawing and creating the patterns that will show up over here on the 3D window. Okay. There's many ways to make clothing, but the easiest way I found is just to make the shape of whatever you want and sew it together. It works out the best that way. Let's see. The tools. Let's make clothes. So to make clothes, you have to use these up here. These are the fabric tools that make Marvelous Designer go. You have the polygon tool, which allows you to create any shape that you want. And the rectangle, which lets you create a perfect box if you want. If you have measurements that you want to stick to, you can just click on a 2D window and you'll have the choice to input proper measurements in there. These are the constrained box, so it keeps everything even. So you can push this and it keeps it constrained with proper square rectangles. If you don't want that, just unclick the constrained box. Here's the circle tool. It lets you create a perfect circle. And the circle tool has the same features as the rectangle. Just click on it and then you can input the measurements that you want in here. So I'm going to delete that. Next to these are the same tools, but these are internal tools. These work inside of a shape. The internal polygon tool allows you to create shapes like the polygon tool, but you don't have to close it off. See what I mean? We can just leave it like that. Something that you can't do with the external polygon tool, because when you're using the external polygon tool, you have to end it at the start like that to close it. It works just like the pen tool in Photoshop, so that makes it easier for you to understand. The internal polygon tool is used for creating custom shapes, so you don't have to end it at the start. We can just leave it like that or snap it to the start tool. It also, let's see, no, not that. I'm just going to delete this because we don't need those internal shapes. If it will allow me to. So difficult. There we go. Same thing, internal square and an internal circle. And the good thing about internal tools is that you can actually convert them into holes. So say you wanted a square or a circle or something, or if you use the polygon tool, a star or triangle cut out in your garment, you can use that and it will cut itself out. Now I bet you're wondering, like, what's this tool? And this is the dart tool, I think that's what it's called. So if you want something tighter, or you need to put darts in your pattern instead of using the internal polygon tool to try to create a diamond, you can just use the the dart tool, and that'll take care of it for you. Now I bet you're wondering, I'm making these polygons, why aren't they showing up on the screen? Well, that's because we have to make sure that this box is activated, and that's the sync mode. You see the holes I created in there are on the pattern. Let's get rid of those real quick. Oh, goodness sake. There we go. So how does the sync tool work? The sync tool is pretty much self-explanatory. Whatever you do over here on the 2D menu works on the 3D menu if this is synced. If we were this off and we were to move something over here, it wouldn't move. It would still remain the same, even though we made changes. It wouldn't register until we press the sync tool, which is, I guess you could call it the refresh tool, because it's constantly refreshing and following the patterns we do over here. Okay. These arrows over here that I was clicking earlier are what you'll be using a lot. So these are the pattern editing tool, I think this is what it is, the edit pattern tool. And it lets you do just that, edit the pattern, select the dots here and edit those. The black one here selects the whole pattern instead of just the individual part. It selects the whole pattern, and from there you can move it like that, or maybe you need to rotate it, so you can do that. I think this is the add curve to it. So if you had a straight line and you want it, like, let's zoom in, scroll in, let you zoom in. So we have this right here, the collar to a shirt, and we want it to be like a smoother kind of curvy thing, or a sleeve thing. You would click this and drag it in, and it'll give you the ability to create a curve rather than trying to click as many dots and make it a curvy shape. This one is the edit curvature point, which I am not 100% sure what that does. Don't think I've ever used. Oh yeah, that's just what I did. This is the edit curve, and I'm not sure what this button does. I can't say I've ever used it. I think it's to edit how steep the curve is, so you can drag it down more if you want it. And I'm not sure. Sorry. Rather tell you I don't know rather than feed you bad information. And this right here is to add a point to it. So adding points is like adding, here we go. So I guess the best way I can describe that is if you were using Puppet Warp in Photoshop and you had the pins where you want one part to stay still and you want to edit the rest of them, the line, these would be the equivalency of those pins. So we would put something here and we can go bananas with it without it disturbing it too much. Yeesh. I'm sorry. There we go. See? If that helped. Alright. So, if you want to, here's a quick pin point tip. If you right click on the edge where you want to add points, you can get the split line menu, which will show you, like, I want equal splits. Instead of you having to click and hope for that it's going to be even, you can click on this and bring this menu up, and it will say what's the distance between each dot you want. Or you can just say I want this split uniformly within this, and you'll be able to create as many dots as you want while it's showing you here, so you can see if this is what you would like. Okay, so now we have a quick rundown of the tools. Let's create. I started out with this shirt here that I'm going to use and turn it into a tank top, but I only did one side of it. you can click on the edge of something that's kind of symmetrical like this, right click, and do unfold, and it'll create another half of it. Although this is gigantic, it does save time. So I'm just going to delete that and make something else just to give a better demonstration. Let's create a t-shirt or a tank top. Tank tops are easier. Let's make a tank top. We're going to select the polygon tool, and we're going to start right in the middle, and we're going to drag it down. Now if you're having a hard time making a straight drag, like your drags come out like that, we can get out of here. You can click on the middle, click, and then hold down the shift key, and a snap grid will come up, so that it's easier to stay on point if you're blind like myself. So click and hold down again, click, and then we're gonna go up here, click. Well, not that, that messed it up. That just keeps coming back. I should stop hitting undo. So that helps. And you want to add 2 dots here, and then that right there. And then we're going to unfold it and have that. And we can do 2 things. We can leave this here and drag this down and make a collar. We can get rid of this because we don't need that dot anywhere. And we're going to make a copy because we can't have a garment with just the front. We need a front and a back. So to make a back, we can just select the front, press Control C, and then paste. I like to do a mirror paste because it's easier to keep things front and back. It's a lot easier, and I can show you what I mean when we do a sleeve on something. So here we have the front and we have the back, but it's kind of hard to keep track of them. I mean, if we were to move it, how would you tell which is the front and which is the back? You could name them, which would make things easier, and we will select this part, which is the front, and go to the menu, and well, we will select the pattern, go over here to the basic menu, basic tab, where it says info, open it up, and write in front. Then we're going to select the part we want for the back, and then type in back. Whew. Now we have both pieces named. We still won't know which one it is unless we were looking or selecting up here or looking down here. Wouldn't know. So we have to right click and from the menu select show pattern name or press shift N, and it will show you here's the front, here's the back. Now we know which ones we're working with. If you select the pattern in a 3D window, it will highlight over here in the 2D window, so you can always make sure which pattern you're working with. Alright, now it's time to move it. So we have the front of the dress, and we're going to put it about here. We're going to select the back and rotate the camera, slide it back, rotate again, slide it over, and let's start sewing. At least that's what you think, right? Don't. I have something very important to show you. You notice the front of the fabric is lighter over here, but when we swiveled it around and moved it back here, it became gray. It's not to shadow. This is actually the inside of the fabric, or the bad side of the fabric. The good side of the fabric will always show up white, and the bad side will show up dark. If we were to sew this together as is, when we import it into Second Life, this part would be invisible while only this part would show. We can fix this by selecting on the pattern and pressing the flip horizontally button, and it will flip the faces around so that the outside only the good faces show. So when we go to sew it like this, the good side would show here, and the good side would show here, and only the inside would be invisible. So let's begin sewing the pieces together. We're going to press this button here. This is segment sewing, and sew the edges together. As you see, when you go over to, when you have sewing tool selected and you go to the edges, they light up. You're going to click on that and then drag it over to where you want it to sew. As you see, when you do that, these lines show up. There's square lines and then there's cross lines. These are showing you how the threads are going to pull together. You always want to make sure that your lines are straight when you click. If you do it right, your lines will come up like this. If you click on it and your lines are twisted, however, whoops, I said twisted lines. There you go. Like this, the fabric will pull together and then twist at this part, and this part will be bunched up and constantly fighting each other. So you don't want that. Always make sure that your lines are nice and straight. We're going to do the same for whatever is down here, leaving the armhole open. So you don't want to sew it all over here. We left this gap so that the arms can go through it. And then we're going to press this button right here, the play button or the simulate button. And ta-da! It's more of a blouse than a tank top. We can still edit it to make it so, but you get the point of what I'm doing here, right? It's a little bunched up in the back, so we would just press this edit pattern button, grab it, and pull it out. If it will listen. Oh, jeez. Sometimes it doesn't work with a 3D window, so you just click on it in the 2D window, and you can just pull it out, and then it works. So we can edit the dots here, and we can pull it down, the collar down if we wanted to. Or we can edit for the line, and we can scale it in if we want and make a thinner sleeve, making it look more like a tank top than what I did. So grab this. Well, you see what I mean. We can do this. Or if we don't want the back here, we can select the dot and then delete that point, and then it flattens out. And that's how you make a shirt in Marvelous Designer. So let's get rid of that. Let's make actually wait, let's bring it back. I forgot, this is the streamlined one. Okay, so we have our shirt and we want to, oops, not make it broken, so pull it back up. So we have a shirt and we want to export the shirt for Blender. So we go to File, Export, and OBJ. Marvelous Designer does not have a DAV export, so export is OBJ or an object. And we're going to save it here as tutorial top and hit enter. You get prompted with this box, and we're going to make the following selections. We don't want the object, so avatar shape, we don't want that. Just make sure the avatar cloth is selected. Then select unified UV coordinates. Remove collapsed triangles. The scale should be 1%, and then you hit OK. Now that that's done, we're going to go into Blender, where our avatar is still open. Go to a new layer, because you know how I feel about that. Into File, Import, Object, Test Dress, Test Top. I did a couple of these tutorials for this one. And as you scroll out, you'll see that the shape, the shirt is all the way up there. No good. And so we're going to have to scale it down to make it fit on the avatar, which is super easy. So we're going to activate our avatar layer by pressing Shift, and selecting the avatar layer. Select the marvelous shirt. Press the S key and scale it down. I'm going to zoom in and scale up and make it fit. And it should pop right onto your avatar. And that's how you bring your clothes in. So the rigging process is the same as every other rigging tutorial that I've done so far. You're just going to select the clothes, hold down the shift key, select the loops, go over here to the Avastar tab, bring out the Avastar tab so you can see it, scroll down, and assign to avatar, assign armature. Wait for it to cook, and there we have our shirt. Okay, it's not rigged the very best way, but it's rigged enough where I can continue with the tutorial. If you watched my other rigging videos, you know how you could just transfer the weights over and have that done. So I'm not going to go over that again. So let's smooth this out of the way, and we're going to create our alpha map that we need for this shirt. Let's go back into object mode real quick. Select the shirt. Press N to get this out of my way. And we're going to create a new window. And from this window, we're going to select the UV edit imager. The UV image editor. And we're going to just scoot this over here because we don't need anything over here yet. Okay. With the UV editor open, we're going to go select on the upper part of the Avastar, go into edit mode, and you see you have the Second Life map over here. We're going to create a new image. Let's call it alpha map. We'll just use that blank. Ugh, that is definitely not what I wanted to happen. It's supposed to be transparent. I forgot how you're supposed to do it and keep it transparent. Damn, I'm sorry, you guys. I forgot. It's been a while. But I think it was leave alpha selected. You use the map. Press that. No, then that makes it come out. Oh, jeez. Give me 1 second. Okay, sorry about that. I had to figure that out before I continued. I didn't want you guys to see me babbling about. So there are two ways you can do this. You can either, let's go back into edit mode real quick and make sure this is selected. You'll see when we have the arm selected, you get the Second Life map over here. And to create it, we can either create a new layer and, create the new layer and texture paint on all the exposed parts around the clothes, and it will make a map over here. So, example, texture paint, but the blue, what we did before I paused it. And as you see, the blue will show up over here. Oh, now pink will show up over here on the map, and it creates the alpha map for you. The white doesn't go away, so you would have to go into Photoshop and I guess use the magic eraser and erase all the white parts, and then you'll have an alpha map that way. Or we can go back into image and go back in here into edit mode, select the upper part, go to open image and select a transparent texture, which is already transparent. I would recommend this one. And we paint on top of it, and it requires no Photoshop because all of this is already transparent. So that's how you create an alpha mask. Everything that you want to show, you paint over. Like so. Between the fingers. Always a pain in the ass. Those hands. Second Life has the absolute worst hands. And you can touch it up in Photoshop as well. But I think this is a quick way to get the shape out. Alright, once we have our alpha done. Wow, that's pretty bad. I should have covered that up. I never learned how to erase the texture that you made in here. If I did, I don't remember. Huh. I just hit undo. So if anybody knows how to, erase in texture paint, be very happy to know that. Anyway, so we have our alpha map and we want to select it. Oh, I seem to have lost it. I didn't save it at all. Transparent texture. Yeah, I didn't see. I hit undo and I undid it. Great. So do this again. I'm just going to texture paint this and come back when it's done. I guess there's one thing that I should note is to trace around it, not over the clothes, as it seems to. So if I trace down here, you see it shows up on the back. Sorry about that. Just draw around the outline of the clothes. Sorry for giving you false information. Sorry that the tutorial kind of fails here. But here we go. You can do this in Photoshop as well with a 3D painting, but and I'm already here in Blender, I might as well. Alright, so there it is, our alpha map. So we just go over here and go to File and Save Image As, and I'm just going to save it as Transparent 2. Alright, so we have our alpha map, rough alpha map, which can be fixed in Photoshop. I think I may have saved it wrong. Let me just save it. One more time, just to be safe. So we're going to select the clothes, File, Export, Avastar, desktop, tutor, top. Let's go back into Blender. I mean, Second Life, tutorial top. As you see, we're all here. Scroll down. Oops, down to 0, 0. Skin weight, calculate weight, import. don't know where my head is right now. Take off my bra. Pardon the nipples. Black old nipples there are. Until my shirt pops up. There we go. So there we go. A perfectly fitted shirt for me. And our alpha map. Image. Transparent. Appearance. Create new clothes. Body part. Alpha. Alpha. Create new alpha. Yes. Drag said alpha to the upper layer. Well, you have to select the upper layer. Then type in transparent. There you go. Hit OK. And we have our alpha. I didn't trace it well, and plus it's kind of rough. So that's basically how alpha maps work. So there you have it, your clothes that you imported into it. But I forgot about texture painting. I guess I'll have to cover that in the second part. This tutorial is already running long. Alright, so there you have it, from start to finish, how to create clothes in this. You know, how to create clothes in Marvelous Designer and import it into Second Life. I'll be going more in depth in another tutorial. Right now I have to call it quits. So guys, I'll see you around. Hope this helps. Questions in the comments. Read the description box for the stuff. If it's not there, check it in later. And yeah, have a good time creating. Viva la creation. See you guys.